We're honoring the beginning of summer and wrapping up season 7 of Dishing Out simultaneously, featuring the perfect dish for your next summer gathering. Whether you're feeding 2 mouths or 20, all will enjoy the finger-licking fun of a low country boil. Alright, you can't have a seafood boil without some good old cocktail sauce, and I like to make mine from scratch so I can tailor the proportions to my desires. But I'll drop a recipe down below that you can follow to give you some basic guidelines. We'll use about 1/3 cup of ketchup, a couple dashes of hot sauce, a couple dashes of Worcestershire sauce, the juice of about half a lemon, and then the most important ingredient, of course, is horseradish, prepared horseradish. I went ahead and added in a heaped tablespoon there, gave it a little bit of a whisk, and decided, no, this needs more. So whisk that together to thoroughly combine all the ingredients, give it a taste, adjust as needed, and then just tuck that in the fridge until you're ready to serve your boil. The remaining ingredients here will be a couple ears of corn. I always like to cut the bottom of my ear off. All the silks connect down at the bottom, so by doing that, it allows you to just slide that husk and the silks off rather easily. Anything that sticks or remains, you can just rinse off under some water. And once we've got those ears of corn nice and cleaned up, we'll go ahead and chop them into thirds. This is a really easily scalable recipe. I'm writing it here to serve about 4 people, but you could certainly serve this for 8, 12, or 20 if you had a big enough pot. A couple ears of corn chopped up, a couple links of good old andouille sausage here. I like to put these in 2 to 3 inch chunks, but you could make them smaller if you want. And then finally, we'll get about 1 to 2 new potatoes per person. Leave the skins on, just make sure they're clean, and go ahead and cut those into quarters. Once that's done, you'll want to get your very largest pot, fill it about 3/4 of the way with water, and add crab boil seasoning. Get this in the spice aisle at the store. Depending on how large a pot you're using, you may need to add more than 1 packet, so just follow those directions. I'm going to acidulate my water here with a few slices of lemon to impart even more flavor, and then turn the heat to max and add in your potatoes. We're going to give them about a 5-minute head start, along with 1 white onion that I've cut in half. We'll go ahead and pop the lid on that, make sure we bring it all the way up to a boil, and boil those potatoes for roughly 5 minutes. At that time, we can drop in our sausages and ears of corn. We'll let those cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. And then if your pot is large enough, you can just add in your seafood next. You could use crab legs, crawfish, crayfish if you call them that. I'm keeping it simple since I'm only serving 2 people with this. Just doing a little bit of shrimp. And my pot is really not big enough for any more additions, so those potatoes and sausages and corn are cooked. I'm going to go ahead and get them out. And then I am adding 1 pound of large 16 to 20 frozen deveined shrimp. It's going to kill the heat in that pot, of course, so just bring it back up to a boil as quickly as you can. And then if you're just using shrimp, these are only going to take 2 to 3 minutes until they are nicely cooked through, juicy, succulent, and perfectly ready to peel and eat. Serving this is super basic. You either get a big piece of newspaper or some parchment paper and lay it out on a table, or if you don't have any of that lying around, just get your biggest serving platter and dump everything out. I'm going to garnish this with just a little more Cajun seasoning right on top to make sure every bite has a nice little bit of flavor in it. And then I had some limes stuck in the fridge and some lemons. I'm going to dot those around the tray because you always got to add a little extra lemon flavor there at the very end. And there's no frills with this. We're pretty much ready to dive in and eat, but just do be careful. You're probably going to want to roll up your sleeves and get a bib or tuck your tie in if you're dumb enough to be wearing one while you're cooking. Anyways, I'm going to squeeze over a little bit of that lemon juice and go in for a taste test. I love cooking shrimp in the peel. They just retain so much of their moisture, and to me they have more flavor. Yeah, it's a little extra work to peel them, but man, look at that succulent, perfectly cooked shrimp. Let's give them a dunk in that cocktail sauce and see how we did. Man, this dinner serves so many great purposes of being extremely easy to prepare, great to feed a crowd, easy to clean up after. It's basically 1 pot and no dishes if you put it out on newsprint. That corn is sweet and succulent, perfectly in season right now. Those sausages are so flavorful. Listen, I thank you guys so much for watching. Season 7 of Dishing Out is in the books. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks to have some July 4th videos and get started on Season 8. Until then, thanks for watching, and go make something delicious.